So we get our athletes appearing on the range. Let's go down to welcome them out for the bronze medal match.
With on target number 1, Clea Reisenweber from Germany. And on target number 2, Aiko Rolando from Italy. The judge in the match is Maya Shalabi. And on target number 1, Clea will start.
So two relatively unfamiliar names. World number 444, 19-year-old Clea Reisenweber from Germany is on target number 1, going up against the 21-year-old Aiko Rolando from Italy, world number 280. First world ranking event medal opportunity for Reisenweber. Here, Rolando, she's the under-21 world field champion of 2022. Showing that she can do it on the 70-meter range too, but it will be Clea Reisenweber to get this one underway. Chef, relatively new names to the archery audience, and me actually.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I saw Reisenweber in Argentina at the Youth Olympics when I was there as an athlete role model. And then Aiko Rolando, I think we've mostly seen on field competitions, so not necessarily target shooter, but a good field shooter is typically also a good target shooter, and the other way around.
Aiko 9. Clea 7.
Drifting further out to the left.
And not necessarily a bad group over there. Just her 9s were already quite far out the middle, and then if you shoot a little bit further to the left, you end up with a 7.
Aiko 7.
Or to the right.
Yeah, so
25, 26.
looked like a solid set from Aiko Rolando. In the end, putting one out to the right. So you talked about the group there being a good group, but then when if you're not au fait with archery, it just looks like a 25. So it's not a particularly high score. So what's the relevance of that group being tight?
Well, her arrows being close to each other means that if she shoots, or it means that she's shooting consistent shots, she just needs to move her sight, or needs to fix something in her technique to move that group around. But having a group and a relatively low score is always better than not having a group and having a relatively low score. So you can move a group and you cannot move a spatter.
See, I mean, it's interesting because that then brings into relevance, and the logic would then suggest that 7 at the end there from Aiko Rolando shows that she hasn't got quite such a good group, even though she beat her opponent by a single point.
It would mean that she maybe had more of a hiccup than what Clea did, but on the other hand, her first arrows were already centered, so if she just made one bad shot and is now back in the middle, then yeah, nothing is really overboard.
Reisenweber shooting first in the second.
Clea 9.
Still making the adjustments.
Aiko 8. Clea 9.
Pretty intense look on her face when she's an anchor, or determined maybe.
Aiko 8. Cleo 8.
So yeah, I was gonna say
Clea.
maybe move your side a little bit more because the group is still on the left and slightly high. But it's still a group compared to
Aiko 10.
Aiko is a bit more spread around. She doesn't really have a clear direction her group is going into. But yeah, like you said, in all fairness, the score is the same. So right now it doesn't really matter. It's just easier to move a group than to suddenly improve your shooting a lot.
Yeah, so all square on points in that particular set. So it means that Reisenweber gets onto the scoreboard, still trailing by 2 at 3-1 down. But it just doesn't. It feels like after those first 2 arrows from Rolando, the Italian, just feels like something's not quite right. She doesn't look as comfortable.
Yeah, and I think she's just still looking for her shot in this finals venue. It might be that she's a bit uncomfortable with the nerves and the tension that she's feeling. But that might get better over time, and then we'll see some better shooting.
Well, both have an additional piece of equipment which they need to keep dry, and that's the glasses. Which is why Aiko was just taking a little bit of time cleaning up the glasses ahead of this 3rd set. Reisenweber still trailing, shoots first.
Clea 10.
Still a little bit on the left, so if I were her, yeah, there you go. Adjust the side just a little bit.
Aiko 9. Clea 9.
Not the best release, but still in the gold.
Aiko 10.
So the release is an interesting part of the archery technique where a lot of people say I've been practicing my release, which is peculiar because the release is more of a result of all of the other things in your technique. That's a bit of a stray one from her. I felt like she was just gaining the momentum and then
Yeah, costly. You're quite right. I think you're spot on saying that she looked like she was finding her rhythm in the match there and then pushing one way out. Provisionally scored as a 6, might get marked up to a 7, but it makes no difference because all of a sudden, Aiko Rolando has found the middle of the target.
Yeah, and then Aiko only needs to tie the next set to win the whole match. So for Clea, this is a pretty difficult position to be in.
That's set number 4.
So we wait for confirmation, but I think we can be safe in the knowledge that the score is now 5-1 in favour of this young Italian. 21-year-old Aiko Rolando from Italy, now in the driving seat, will shoot second in the 4th set, and all she has to do is match her opponent, as Chef says. Just needs to tie the next set to get the 1 point she needs to get on the podium here at the Veronica's Cup. For the first time, we saw a little bit of emotion from Clea Reisenweber. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that was it looked like a sign of, or a display of emotion to suggest that she was very unhappy with something with that last shot.
Yeah, I think so too. And that kind of ties into my monologue that I kind of ended halfway about people trying to fix release as part of their technique issues. I think the release is more of a result of other things in your technique. And just fixing your release is not really something you can do unless it comes from one single thing in your technique that makes the release go the way it goes. So if your release is bad, it's probably due to something around your alignment or muscle tension rather than the release itself.
8, liner 9 for Clea. Aiko 9.
I think the thing has happened that we talked about earlier, where Aiko has started settling in on the finals venue and started
Clea.
feeling more comfortable in the position, and is now just shooting better shots because of it.
Nine.
It's another one of those pressure relieving arrows, that middle one from Rolando. 2-8 so far from Reisenweber. Not enough by the looks of things.
10.
Finishes nicely with a 10, but nothing over 26 in the match. And just an 8 required to get the points for the bronze medal. She finishes with a 28. Lovely arrows there from Aiko Rolando, and she takes the bronze medal match by 7 set points to 1 against Clea Reisenweber. Good experience for the 19-year-old, still in search of her first senior world ranking medal.
27.